Our adventure in Bohol starts now.
After 33 hours of traveling, we are very tired, so we are just going to start off our first afternoon checking out some local waterfalls. We rented a motorbike from the hotel and we're at our first one.
If you want to see our adventure over here in business class, you can check out that video. Otherwise, this was actually our first time renting a scooter in Southeast Asia, and I would say pretty good success.
When we went to the hotel desk, they were like, all right, give us 1,000 pesos, which is about 10 US dollars, and we'll hand over the keys and you're good to go. And literally just sent us on our way, told us how to turn on the bike, and that was it.
So we just focused on the driving for now, but we've arrived at the first stop.
So far, we've seen quite a few locals walking away and we haven't seen any tourists, so I'm excited to see what we're getting into. There was a big typhoon that came through the Philippines in 2021, and I have a feeling this is not going to be the last of the damage we see. Apparently it hit the island really hard.
What I just read online was a super typhoon came through just yesterday through the area. Nothing compared to what hit in 2021. Our plane flew right around it, but we saw it on the map and it looked pretty intense. The hotel was talking about it a little bit too. We are just so excited to be in the Philippines. We've tried coming here since 2020 and it got canceled that summer, and we finally made it. And even just the drive over here was so nice and very picturesque of what we expected. The rice fields, the mountains, the people seem super nice as well. Everyone we've driven by has been waving. This is gonna be an epic trip. Bohol is not necessarily somewhere that you'd see along the typical tourist track. A lot of people just come here for a day trip, so we're super excited to show you why you should spend a little bit more time on this island.
This waterfall is called Calisan Falls, and if this is just the first waterfall of our trip, I cannot wait. This is gonna be so amazing.
What a way to start off our adventure here in Bohol. There are like 3 total people here at this waterfall, middle of a hot day.
All right, I think it's time we go for a swim in this beautiful waterfall. That was probably the least graceful way to get in the waterfall, but this is so cool. This place feels like it's straight out of a movie set. We had it to ourselves for like the last 45 minutes, just jumping off the rocks, floating around, looking up. This is gonna be such a fun trip. I'm so happy.
We're gonna end today there with the epic experience at Calisan Falls. There is another waterfall over here. I'll put the name down below because I can't remember what it's called, but we're just kind of running out of daylight and we're also running on fumes here after a full travel day, but excited to have the entire day tomorrow to explore Bohol. We're gonna head back now on our trusty steed here. I think we'll show you that part of the experience tomorrow. We're just gonna focus on getting home safely tonight. So we'll see you then.
While we're here in Bohol, we're staying at Lobak River Resort, which is right along the Lobak River, and it is so nice. Our little room looks out over the river and has this little porch. It's a beautiful property too. Whenever you pull in, they have a nice reception area and they have a pool, they have a restaurant with really good food, and they also have a whole area that you can walk around and take hikes and look at fish and chickens and fireflies. So all around, we're really excited to explore the property, and we're really happy that we chose to stay here. It is centrally located. It's pretty much in between all of the areas that we wanted to see, which is why we chose it. And then it's also really nice because they have a lot of activities that they can arrange for you. So you could go stand up paddleboarding or take a river cruise or go see monkeys with a guide. All in all, we're really excited about our stay here. Now, back to the adventure.
Good morning on our second day here in Bohol, and I think we caught up on rest. We're feeling a lot better this morning.
We had a quick bite to eat and now we are going to head out on the bike to the Chocolate Hills. After about an hour bike ride, we finally made it to the Chocolate Hills.
It is so windy. We safely raced over here to get here before 8 a.m. because that's when you're supposed to be able to fly the drone, which I really appreciate that rule. But there's no way our tiny little Mavic Mini is gonna make it up in this.
It's way too windy for the drone to handle.
Looks awesome already, let's go check it out. So it was 100 pesos per person, which is like $2 to get up here to this fantastic viewpoint of the hills. We even saw them from the bottom while we were driving in, and it was pretty sweet to see it from there too. As we mentioned earlier, it's extremely windy. It could be leftover from the typhoon that came through yesterday. Also maybe up on the hills, it's always like this. I think we're still definitely gonna appreciate it.
You know I've got to lay down some facts. So there are about 1,700 of these mounds located in the area, and they call them the Chocolate Hills because in the dry season, the beautiful green grass that we're seeing turns to a brown color because it dies. And so it looks like little chocolate mounds. Oh, and they were formed ages ago. It's basically coral deposits uplifted and rainwater and erosion left these different mounds all over the area.
I'm also curious if this exists elsewhere because I feel like this is pretty unique, but I'm getting a head nod from the side that it does. Rebecca's facts.
Fun fact, it does exist in Java, Indonesia, but the hills there are not as consistently shaped as they are here. So I say one of a kind.
Also kind of a staple of our videos at this point, to be honest, but we again came pretty early to fly the drone. We've been the only ones here for like 10 minutes and now maybe one other family has shown up. So I think that's another advantage to not again coming over on the ferry and day trip and stuff like that, but being here and staying in Bohol. Bohol? It's one of those two things.
They have this huge platform area that you can come stand on to look out over all of the hills, and it's about 8:30 now and people are starting to show up.
We spent about 30 minutes or so. I think we're on to the next stop. Time to get out of here. I think we're good. Safety first. We're doing a little switch. Rebecca's first time driving here. Let's see her feel.
Why do you have to hype it up like that?
Are you nervous?
A little bit. I feel like I should be.
She's a pro already! No, I'll just grab it. You were trying to bite my camera. I got you now. Now you just look innocent. He's playing me.
I think Kyle made a friend. She's gonna follow us all the way down to the falls.
After a little bit of a muddy, bumpy drive, they're doing some construction to improve it. We've arrived here at Pangas Falls. Pretty sure we're the only ones here. This activity was 30 pesos each. To convert that, I'm pretty sure it's like 50 cents. I also love just how like blue-green the water is and how it like blends with the forest. This is awesome. We could obviously spend all day here.
And it just started raining, but honestly, not a bad place to be. Our stuff is sitting underneath the cover dry, and now we'll go jump in. There's no thunder or lightning, so golden.
know if you could really hear what we were saying under the waterfall, but that was really cool. You could go under the waterfall and it had this little grotto in there. It was awesome. I'm gonna be honest, we're only 24 hours here into our Philippines adventure, and I don't know how it's gonna get any better than this.
That was so awesome, but we are only on the first waterfall of the day, so we're gonna head off to the next one.
Right as we were leaving, some locals showed up and we were kind of getting ready to go, but they were so nice. Not that that's surprising. They had just showed up with a case of beer and started grilling some stuff, but they offered me a drink, and really nice of them to offer that.
This is our first time seeing the rice fields here in the Philippines, so we had to pull over and check them out a little bit, and they just look so fun with the different patches of squares and colors.
We're pretty easily amused at this point, just one day in. Thanks, all the rain conditions are questionable. What I was trying to say, I was getting chased down by a van, I wanted to get out of the way, was just since we're here in monsoon season, the rain is on and off, there's a lot of puddles, it's super muddy, so occasionally we have to go solo rider to cross those things. Also, I'm wearing Rebecca's jacket because my jacket can cover her and our backpack, so I also think I look pretty good in purple. Win-win. Lunch was delicious. We scarfed it down in like, I don't know, 5 minutes or so. So we're getting ready to move on to the next spot, but we did want to take a moment to point out the Lobak River, which we are staying on at Lobak River Resort, of course, and then we've been kind of meandering along this entire time, but it's this really nice green river like through the trees, and they have a lot of spots where you can kind of jump in, whether it's platforms or rope swings or things like that. So we might get a chance to swim later too. Next stop is the Targier Conservancy here in Corella. It's about a 25-minute drive from lunch or so, but we do have to kind of keep our voices down because the Targiers are sleeping. Let's check it out. We're wandering through now through the forest with our guide. Gotta stay quiet. Becca said tiny, they're like super tiny. Not even the ball of my fist. They're so little. I also don't know how they're finding them in these trees. We're here late in the day, so they probably know where they are now, but I don't know how much they move or how they'd ever find them. But they're super cute. Even just walking through this forest is really cool too.
Oh my gosh, that was so incredible. They are so tiny, like seriously like this big, if that gives you reference. They're also the smallest primate, and they reminded me of gremlins. They're nocturnal, so they're up in the trees, but they're kind of in a darker shade, and I guess this is like a pretty decently sized enclosed area to keep them safe. So they must like scout out where they are in the morning because there's a ton of different trees that they could be in, but they just have a few that are along the trail and you can kind of peek up through.
So we saw like 4, I think, in total in there, and although they're nocturnal, it seemed like one was like kind of awake and just moving, not really doing much, but slid down the tree and was like looking around. We didn't really have any expectations, but that was amazing.
Wow, the hike is definitely worth it. This is beautiful. There's so much like greenery everywhere, and then you just have this waterfall going through with the pretty green, cloudy water. This is just so beautiful. It does not feel real. Like, I swear this has to be fake.
Well, this is an interesting bridge. After walking down the muddy stairs, feels trustworthy though.
We made it down to Pangas, probably not the right pronunciation, waterfalls. I think it's also known as Twin Falls, which makes sense with the two waterfalls behind me. It was a very hot hike down with a lot of stairs, so I'm excited to jump in this water even if it's gonna be a little chilly.
I think what's really getting us with these is the environment, like seeing the huge cliffs and like the mossy green grotto feeling walls around. How many times have I said incredible today? Finally, after like 15-20 minutes on our own, a few people showed up, and to be honest, not that upset about it. It feels like people should be here.
Although it's shallow right by the waterfall, there are a few jump spots that we've seen some other people going off of now that we're about to head out. Classic me, hiking with my hands all out like a crazy person.
Look how big that guy is. Let me show you my hand for scale. It's like my whole hand. Whew. That was the end of a definite long day. We just went back after visiting from the waterfall, hiked back up those 300 stairs, and then biked in and maybe got in a little after sunset.
It was definitely dark after we arrived, but we have thoroughly enjoyed our time here in Bohol. There's been so many things that we got to see and do, and I feel like there was still a lot left that we had pinned on the map.
Overall, Bohol was a fantastic destination. I know we really harped on this. I think I'm gonna think of it as the location. Maybe it was just the time of year, but we were pleasantly surprised by how few other tourists we saw throughout as well, and it really allowed us to enjoy the sights a little bit more without the crowds.
Tonight is our last night and we are going to end this video here, grab some dinner, but what a great introduction to the Philippines.
Make sure to like and subscribe to follow our adventure here in the Philippines.
Thank you.